What's going on, everybody? Happy Monday. Welcome to another edition of Mean Streets powered by FTN. Chris Meany here with you on a Game Plus Network. Thanks as always for taking the time to hang out. If you're following along live here on the Twitter machine, well, welcome in. Any questions? Leave them there. We have a busy show here for you today. We're going to talk everything. There's 4 games on the ice. There's MLB signings left, right, and center. Before I came on here, it looks like Max Scherzer signed a 3-year deal with the New York Mets, according to John Heyman. $130 million. Nothing official just yet, but a lot of MLB signings over the past, 3 or 4 days, really. Some big ones as well. And Jeff Passan tweeted last night, it's going to be chaos. I forget the exact words for him, but he did say it was going to be absolutely chaos in the MLB over the next week or so. And I'm here for it. I love it. I love when guys are switching jerseys, and I like player movement. So we'll touch on some of the signings, and hopefully we can get some Scherzer news here before the end of the show. But it does look like he is on the verge of signing a contract with the New York Mets. They were busy over the weekend as well. Producer Tino is going to drop by. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about his Giants, a big W. He caught it live, so I want to see what he saw firsthand. The first game without Jason Garrett and Freddie Kitchens calling the show. Not a whole lot from an offensive standpoint when it came to the Giants, but a big W for them. And all of a sudden, they're 1 game out from a wild card spot, I do believe. We'll talk Week 12. We will recap Week 12 in the NFL. There's some injuries here we can talk about off the top here in a second, and we'll preview tonight's football game, Seattle and Washington. The Seahawks are, last I saw, it was like a pick 'em. You can get them on the spread, -1, DraftKings, and the total is 47.5. You can shop around, but I see 47.5, and I like the under, so I'll take that 47.5 as opposed to the 47. But we'll recap that one a little bit, and we will talk some props as well in the NHL and in the NFL. Guys are hanging out with us. Sean McCormick signings, Bergevin, Eagles, disappointing. Meany, you should be fired up. Yeah, I'm still kind of getting over something. My voice is like in and out. But yeah, man, the Habs cleaned house. I think Bergevin was around for 8 years. They went to the Stanley Cup Finals. They went to the Eastern Conference Finals. I believe they made the playoffs in like 6 of 8 years, and yet he's gone. Expectations in Montreal pretty high, right? I mean, you look across the league, you see the Canucks struggling. They can't muster any wins. When's the last time that they made any noise, right? When they went to the Stanley Cup Finals against the Bruins, was that 2010? They really haven't done anything since, and yet their owner, it seems like Meany flu game every once. Like take care of yourself, man. It's like sick every other day here on this show, but 'tis the season. We missed you guys. I missed you guys last week. Only 2 shows. We had some esports happening on Game Plus TV, and also, American Thanksgiving. So my American friends, hopefully everybody had a fantastic holiday, and we're back at it, right? We are back at it. Yeah, 2010, McCormick knows. But I mean, expectations are high in Montreal. I think it was great for them to clean house. Trevor Timmons, for me, was the guy that I've wanted to go for a long time. I mean, he was the head scout for the Habs for like 2 decades. I mean, hanging around for a while, and a lot of just brutal draft picks. I mean, some great ones. I mean, Carey Price fell into their lap with the year Crosby went first overall. They almost had Crosby, but Price fell in their lap. They made a great pick, I suppose, with PK Subban, but there's been a lot of Gallagher was a late round, 5th round pick. There's been a lot of just mediocre picks when it comes to the Canadians. So it's good that they cleaned house and a lot of just nonsense too at the draft. I won't get into what Montreal did in the draft, but not great. Got our guy George Z hanging out with us. Looks like the Red Sox signed a bag of chips. The Red Sox, weird signing there. Red Sox will sign his brother that works at Walmart for 1 year, $29 million. I love it. Conversations happening here in the chat. You have any, by all means, leave them there. Whatever it is, whatever sport. NBA too. We don't really talk a lot of basketball on this show, but we will turn our attention to the NBA. One thing I did want to get off the top here is it is Cyber Monday. Oh, baby. Cyber Monday. We are just basically giving away packages here at FTN. Jokes aside, we're not giving away, but look at this. 33% off all packages. Promo code Cyber Monday. This is all packages. I mean, Jeff Ratcliffe is the #1 ranker in the game. He's a stud. He crushes it. And we got Matthew Friedman, who is, I believe, last time I checked, he was inside the top 25. I'm hovering around the low 40s. I mean, I take that, right? I'll take that. I want to do a little bit better. We'll see if we can make a strong push here. But rankings, projections, a strong push for you in the fantasy football playoffs. It's all about a championship belt, right? Can you win the ship this season? Ratcliffe is around to help you out. But all packages, this is including betting packages. We're talking DFS. We're talking season long. I mean, I've talked a lot on this show about the betting picks. The betting picks across every single sport. It's not just the NHL picks you'll get for myself, but you get Ratcliffe's props, you get Friedman's props, you get everybody, NFL picks, MLB. You know, we'll talk some futures here soon when all these signings happen, but NBA is happening. You know, PGA, we're really starting to get into the full swing of things when it comes to golf. And, you know, we're giving esports picks. When you have a free pick tracker as well over at ftndaily.com. You go up at the top of ftndaily.com. First, you can click the chat link, gets you in the free Prize Picks Discord channel, but also beside that is a DFS free picks. I mean, Prize Picks, Underdog, everything that we're given. There's another one off the top of my head. I wish I should know. I should be prepared for this, okay? But really, I'm giving Underdog and Prize Picks. That's kind of where I live when it comes to FTN Daily. But free picks, it's absolutely free to check out. You can same sort of deal with, you know, if you are already subbed to ftnbets.com, you know that we have the bet tracker and you can just pick and choose which expert you want to tail. And we have the record there. You know, he's good at totals, not so much at sides. Prop machine, can't nail a prop, but he's good at parlays. So things like that, you can go over to ftndaily.com. George says Ratcliffe doesn't miss. He doesn't. And I did see that. Tiger's starting to hit golf balls. Oh, baby, let's go. And also, Bryson is a major fraud. Yeah, did anyone actually think Bryson was going to win that match against Koepka? No chance, man. No chance. I would have liked to just... I didn't watch a lot of it, but I would have liked to hear like Brooks' thoughts, like if it was off air, like if he was just talking to you one-on-one, he'd really tell you all he had to say about Bryson. I know he'd probably have a few good things to say, comical things. We'll break again. Cyber Monday, check that out. Pretty good deal, right? 33% off. I would go with the betting package. I mean, there's value in that, right? There's a lot of people that are giving some pretty good bets over at ftnbets.com. All right, we'll break. We'll kind of recap week 12, and there's some injuries that are kind of filtering through here. Deebo Samuel is the latest. Looks like he's going to miss a little bit of time. I know it pains me to say that, so we'll recap. We'll kind of take a little bit of a peek at week 13, but mostly recap with some highlights. Not going to get the highlights on the show, but some highlights, some big takeaways, some big performances, including Leonard Fournette. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk some injuries, and we also got a whole lot more on this show as well. So keep your lock. Mean Streets continues here on Game Plus Network. Welcome back to Mean Streets here on Game Plus Network. McCormick hanging out with us. Big Broncos win, buddy. Big W for the Broncos. They're hanging around. He says Scherzer and Mets finalizing a 3-year, $130 million deal per Heyman. Minor details to still kind of get ironed out here a little bit. So Tino is he's hanging by, of course. You guys know him as a Mets fan, a big New Yorker, right? Got to support the teams. I was on with Jake Seeley earlier this morning on his show. You can catch it Game Plus Network this evening, I believe 8 Eastern, All in Football, Bets TV. I don't know. This guy's a big Mets fan, but he just hates everything that they do. Everything that they do. Like, Mark Cannon, he's like 100 years old. He's no good. Eduardo Escobar, he's no good. Max Scherzer, he's like 48. Who's no good. I mean, he still has a little bit of tread. Like, he's got a lot of tread on the tires, but he still has a little bit left to offer, I think. We'll talk with Tino and get his thoughts on all of that here. Dustin hangs out and says, Nats fan here. Sad to hear that. Yeah, my old man's a Nats fan too. He's probably a little ticked off that he's back inside the division. And as an Angels fan, I mean, listen, I wanted him. I wanted Scherzer. We'll get into it a little bit. We'll save it. We'll save the talk. Jason Prince, where have you been, Meanie? Good to have you back. It's good to be back. It is really good to be back. We'll custom shop props in a little bit. Hopefully win some winners here. DFS Daily, FTNDaily.com. The DFS picks, I got it here. It's not just Prize Picks. It's not just Underdog. It's Monkey Knife Fight. It's Top Prop. It's Thrive Fantasy. It's Jock Market. It is all there for you. And it's free. It's free. Why wouldn't you check this out? It's free to check out. You can just sort whatever expert you want to roll with. You can sort through all the sports. The big four. I'm including hockey in that big four, let's be honest. PGA, tennis, NASCAR, soccer, WNBA, college sports, football, basketball. It is all there for you. Use the promo code FTN. I mean, when you sign up, for example, at Prize Picks, use a promo code FTN. They'll match your first deposit 100% up to $100. And what I've said so much about Prize Picks is my favorite to use, and there's nothing against all the other sites that we're partnered with over at FTN. It's pretty simple. It's simple over or under on a player's prop or their fantasy score. And if you're just into the two parlays, I mean, it's better to go to Prize Picks than to go to any other book and just go for two. Like if you're just into two prop, and we'll give some NFL props here later. If you're just into two, it's more investment. Right? It's a better profit, as opposed to just going to DraftKings and saying, I want the over on Logan Thomas and the over on Terry McLaurin. You might as well just go to Prize Picks. And I'm telling you, Prize Picks, the props, the totals are a little bit lower. We've talked a lot about that this on this show here over the past couple weeks. For example, Saquon's receiving yard prop a couple weeks ago was like 27.5. Most books, it was 18.5. A couple weeks ago, that Monday Night Football game against the Bucs, where he cleared the 18.5, but I don't think he would have cleared the 27.5. So Prize Picks, check it out. Check out FTNDaily.com. Right up at the top, you'll see the tab, DFS Picks, free picks. Use that promo code FTN. And also for Prize Picks, you can go 3 for 4. Right? How many times is that last one just screw you on that parlay, the 4-pick entry? That last one, it's like always the late game of the night too. It's like, oh my goodness, I got 3 out of 4 again. I got 4 out of 5 again. You can do that at Prize Picks. You don't have to go perfect. There's like a power play or a flex play where you can just go 3 for 4, 2 for 3 if you want. Okay, NFL. There's really a lot to get to here. So before we came on, there's a couple things here. At least 8 people, including 5 coaches, tested positive for COVID-19 out of Dallas. Now, a couple weeks ago, the Amari Cooper, he's been away from the team for a couple weeks now. This does include head coach Mike McCarthy. A short turnaround. The Cowboys are playing Thursday night again this week against the Saints. I don't have any details on what players. There's really nothing. Tom Pelissero just tweeted something. Rap Sheet just retweeted it just about Dallas Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy. He's been entered into NFL COVID protocol as of this morning. And so we'll just keep an eye on this as it unfolds. I don't know anything when it comes to players. There's some reports that, Zeke they're thinking about giving Zeke a week off. So if you have Tony Pollard, this could be good news. Talked a lot about this with Jake Seeley when it comes to Zeke. If you own Zeke, sure, you could probably be a little bit bummed about this, but if you're in a playoff spot, comfortably headed for a playoff, push here, maybe that first week bye, I think that's what you want, right? You want Zeke, maybe tough matchup against the Saints, are really good against running backs. Maybe you have Zeke away from the team, and then the schedule turns a little bit softer. Some games inside the NFC East where, maybe Zeke can give you, what you expected from, because it's been a little disappointing, really, over the past couple weeks. And Tony Pollard's looked really good. On the flip side, if you have Pollard, you're like, yes, let's go, take a seat, Zeke, rest that knee, and let's have it be the Tony Pollard show for the next couple weeks. But, I think trade deadline's over in most standard leagues. It's possible. Maybe you got another week here too, but if you're in a great spot, I think you could maybe buy low on Zeke, right? Have him for a playoff push, but just kind of adjust your rankings. He's not an RB1, right? He's got an upside to be an RB1. It's a split backfield. And Tony Pollard looks like the better back. But if you could get him the Zeke owner maybe needs Zeke this week on Thursday Night Football. If he were to rest, you just go calling that Zeke owner, listen, you need a W. You can't afford to roll out this Rex Burkhead. Let me give you another running back to help you out this week. Just an example. I think you should always to see if certain players are available. And on the flip side, maybe make them available to your league mates. So the Deebo Samuel news came on. This is Rap Sheet that tweeted this just before we went live here. Was so Deebo Samuel is going to have an MRI on his groin today, and while he's expected to miss a little bit of time, it's not considered a major injury. So that is good news for Deebo moving forward. And man, my goodness, this guy he's been an absolute beast this season. He's in the MVP conversation when it comes to fantasy football, right? Like he's not going to get MVP. But he deserves to, like, when we go year end, we'll have some fun on this show. We'll probably do it before we head into playoffs, like the regular season, like week 15 fantasy football playoffs. Before we head in there, we could maybe take a look at like the MVPs of the season, right? In fantasy. And it's not just going to be studs. Like Deebo was there. His last 2 games through the air, not great. 2 receptions, 27 yards, 0 touchdowns, 14 carries and 145 yards and 3 touchdowns. Just the way that Shanahan uses him. He's so phenomenal. So if you have him, like, I think, you may be in a really good spot because he's been carrying your team, but I think this is good news that maybe he's away for a couple weeks and then you can get him come fantasy football playoff time. So not great news, but not awful. Could have been worse. And then a couple other injuries here. So Dalvin Cook, it's not great news for him. Dislocated shoulder, probably going to miss some time. There's nothing concrete here of the extended time that he's going to miss. But again, Madison, we've talked a lot about handcuffs and just picking up that next man up as opposed to picking up an Alex Collins or Rex Burkhead or David Johnson or a Ty Johnson or Tevin Coleman. Like, why not have like a guy, league winner, who could be a league winner for you? And Alexander Madison can be that. CMC, an ankle injury, not expected to miss any time. Carolina on a bye this week, so that's good news for CMC owners. But man, over the past couple of years, there's been a lot of injuries. I don't think I'm going to have him as my pick 101 next year. I think I got to lean with Jonathan Taylor. I think that's the way that I'm feeling things right now. But a lot can happen from now until week 1 of next season. And Cam is going to remain the starter. Cam Newton, of course. They paid him as like to be the starter, even though he's looked awful. Like he runs around. He gets you a rushing touchdown. He's not a great quarterback. He's not accurate at all, and he looked awful yesterday, but he's going to remain the starter. Heading out of the bye, I do believe they have Atlanta week 14. So, I mean, super flex. You roll him out as your second quarterback, but I never feel great starting that guy. And then Darren Waller, I haven't heard anything about Waller. He did avoid a significant injury, but he could miss a couple weeks here. And, Las Vegas, that was a huge win against the boys on Thursday night, Thanksgiving. That was a big W for Las Vegas, and they're hanging around. They are hanging around. The Steelers look awful, right? I think that there's a better chance the Broncos or the Raiders to make the playoffs than the Steelers. And also, like the Chargers, a big loss yesterday as well. So it's kind of wide open still in the AFC. Certainly for the wild card picture, it's completely wide open for some of these teams. So what I will say about that, and it's still early, there's nothing really in the waiver wire. We can talk waiver wire tomorrow and maybe big picture, playoff picture. But Foster Monroe, he played 100% of the snaps against the Eagles when Waller didn't play. He caught 6, I think he had 6 targets, 6 grabs, and he had a touchdown as well. We know now that the Eagles can't cover the tight end position, but nonetheless, I mean, this guy would be, he'd be a top 12 tight end for me because there's not a lot of tight ends across the league that play nearly 100% of the snaps. There is one guy returning here tonight, Logan Thomas, who was getting about 100% of the snaps. In fact, I think the first 2 weeks Washington played, he had 100% of the snaps, and then he suffered that injury week 3. We got some people hanging out. We love it. Oh, man, there's comments. Bryce to the Phils didn't bug me, but this does. Yeah, Harper. Didn't bug you. Interesting. It did bug a few Nats fans that I know. Bryce Harper, they wanted him just like fully away from the team, and I'm seeing it. This is official now, guys. The Scherzer deal is official. I'm seeing $43 million per year. Interesting. He is 37, right? He's 37. I don't know, man. We'll get to it in a little bit. Other NFL news. Actually, let's just break. We'll bring in producer Tino. And I think I rolled through all the injuries anyways. That was basically it. I mean, Cook is the big one. Jack Conklin is a big one too on the offensive line for the Browns. All they really do well is run the football. They didn't do that all that well yesterday against the Ravens. But that's a big one. Looks like torn patella tendon, so he could be lost as well. I mean, that's the strength of the Cleveland team. That's another team, right? Kind of heading in the wrong direction in the AFC. So, I mean, the wild card, it's wide open. Let's bring in Tino. We'll bring in Tino. Want to get his thoughts on his big takeaways from Week 12. We'll kind of take a little picture of the playoff picture. Man, my goodness. I am still not 100% here. Derek Brown, meaning the GOAT. D-Bro is actually the GOAT. He is an absolute stud. So if you check out his daily articles over at FTN at daily.com, his game-by-game breakdowns are they're the best in the biz. And I'm not just saying that. Like, they really are the best in the biz. The detail that he goes through, the play calling, the pace of play, he dives through every single little piece. You get so many nuggets from that. You don't even have to be a DFS player. It can help you out from a season-long standpoint. If you're just a big football fan, it can help you out from a betting standpoint. You just learn a lot when you check out D-Bro's articles, ftndaily.com, Cyber Monday, 33% off. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll bring in Tino, and we'll save the baseball talk for the next segment. We'll try to anyways, but I wanted to get his thoughts on Week 12, and we'll talk about some of the big performers as well from Week 12 of the NFL season. Keep her locked. There he is, rocking the New York Mets hat. Producer Tino hanging out with us here on a Game Plus Network. Chris Meany here with us as well. Yeah, George he's hanging out. Number one fan here, George. Love all the work that you do for us on the show. And I think what he was saying was the Prize Picks. Literally, it's always one for him. One shot, 1 point, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 1 yard. 1 yard, he's always off. But yeah, I mean, Prize Picks may be the site for you, George Z. Can we go with segment without talking Scherzer? Should we just do Scherzer now? Let's just do Scherzer now. What's your thoughts? You're the Mets guy. What's your thoughts?
Well, I already told you. Until it's officially official, I am not touchdown spiking and celebrating. It's a lot of money Uncle Stevie is here to spend. The gift that keeps on giving during the holiday season here. He's given the Mets the highest payroll in baseball. Well, is going to be as long as Seager ends up leaving LA and Scherzer leaving LA. The Mets will be at the top here. Listen, got to spend money, to make money, I guess. Look, Scherzer joining DeGrom, obviously, we could talk about 1-2 punches. I'd like to start there and just talk about pitching. But, dude, I mean, he's 37 years old. It takes him into his age 40 season. He was up and down last year a little bit, but still finished, second or third in Cy Young voting. So, I mean, look, I say what you want about his age. We talked to Jake about this morning. I know, how it sounds, and everyone comes to the Mets and doesn't perform how they should. And maybe that's the case, but to be a Met fan and not be excited about this is just ridiculous. You know what I mean? You got to be happy. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't as a Met fan. You got to be happy that they're going out, being aggressive, spending money. And honestly, with a lockout kind of impending, they got to get these deals done now. You don't want to wait 3 months and not have an idea of what your team's identity is going to be. So with that impending come December 1st, getting these deals done and doing what they've done so far is, I think, right. I think everything they've done so far is right.
Look at Tino here throwing us old dudes under the bus.
It was Jake. It was Jake. He called 33 old this morning. I was like, what do you mean? I was like, 33.
You know why he did that? It's his birthday. it's his birthday today, and he's feeling a little old himself, right?
That's
So
what it
he's, 33. Geez, I don't want to give Jake's age away, but he's older than 33. I'll tell you that. So he's probably thinking, man, I'm feeling a little old today. You know what? Brendan's hanging out here now. Brendan Gilda, my Padres were said to have acquired Scherzer. I no longer will trust a word that Rosenthal says. Wow, Rosenthal's not the guy that you'll trust. There's a lot of dudes, that they've said some stuff. They reported on some things that certainly are not true and not close to being true.
Well, for Mets fans, Bob Nightingale, exactly. This was us last year, right? So $40 million contract rumored. Yeah, rumored for Trevor Bauer. And then I think the Dodgers are kind of handcuffed for that reason. But honestly, this spending spree is a credit to Steven Matz. I can't go through this show without tipping my cap to a fellow Steven. If him and his agent did not get Steve Cohen as mad as he is right now, maybe he wouldn't have spent $300 million in the last week. But here we are. We were rumored to Gosman, and we're getting Scherzer and a bunch of people that were under the radar that I think a lot of people didn't think the Mets would be tied to. So obviously Scherzer's a big one, but they made some other moves. We can talk MLB now. I know we have a board, but I don't know what you want to do. I don't know what you want to do here.
I know. Well, the Scherzer thing happened, and I kind of figured you and I were chatting before we came on that it would happen. So let's bring it up. And these are some of the signings that have taken place here over the past, week or so. I did get Noah Syndergaard on there because I'm a homer. But Marcus Semien, yesterday, Texas, big deal, man. 7-year, $175 million. Like, this guy's a player. He's really good. He did have a career season at age 31. It's tough to pay that kind of dough. So he signs with Texas, and it always seems like the AL West is making noise, right? You can't get ahead. If the Halos can't get ahead, everybody else is always starting to do something there inside that division. But Semien is the big deal here. And then, Toronto decides to spend some of the money that they couldn't spend on Semien for Kevin Gausman, which you kind of touched on earlier, but 5-year, $110 million deal. So the Mets are busy, right? Starling Marte, Eduardo Escobar, Mark Canha. Not on this board, of course, is Scherzer that we just talked about. You know what? I like a lot of their players that they signed. I mean, I know you and I think you like Escobar, don't you? You're an Escobar guy. I think when that trade happened with Milwaukee, I mean, we liked that addition that the Brewers made.
We were following the whole way. I mean, Eduardo Escobar has been a guy who, is just good at baseball for the last couple of years, but was in Arizona, so no one kind of knew about him. But the dude plays every infield position, is a switch hitter, can hit for power, hit for contact. So I think that was a very under-the-radar pickup. It's also funny because the Mets were tied to Escobar for a while, and they were also tied to Marte forever. I think that's what Jake was trying to get at, and I know we keep mentioning him, but this is bright and early for us, and Jake is a Mets and Giants fan along with me, and it's always funny to hear his takes. I'm the optimist, he's the pessimist, and I'm trying to stay level-headed here, but to his point, like, it's very Mets-esque to end up getting guys years after they were supposed to get him. They were supposed to get Starling Marte when he was a free agent before he went to the Marlins again. You know what I mean? And he ended up on Miami for a second time. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm glad we have a center fielder in him, but there's a lot of decisions to be made in terms of the team right now. And, they have months to do that. And that's why I think you make all these pieces, kind of take advantage of the market while it's where it's at right now before the new CBA, and just see, because a lot of teams don't have the luxury the Mets have. So if you have an advantage, you might as well capitalize on it. So, yeah, a lot of moving parts. I like that you put Noah Syndergaard on there for you. It's a little old.
I had to.
A little old news, but it's nice.
I had to. I didn't put any re-signings. Let's chuck that board back up. I didn't put any re-signings, like Buxton hitting like 100 mil. Like, I didn't put that. Like 100. The guy, he got good for Buxton, right? Good for him when he plays. I mean, he's a terrific player. He's a great fantasy asset. It's just unfortunately he's lived on the IL for the past couple of years. But yeah, he did get paid. So I like Canha too. I mean, this is another guy that I like especially in on base percentage leagues in fantasy. I mean, he gets on base. Like, the average is not spectacular. He can move around. He can play multiple positions. He's got a little bit of pop. I mean, he was stuck in Oakland. Going to New York, not the best hitter friendly environment for some of these dudes. But Marte, I mean, he's another guy. He just gets on base. He makes things happen when he's on base. He's got a little bit of pop, but he's a terrific fielder as well. Kevin Gausman, even Eduardo Rodriguez was a little bit old. Detroit, 5 years, $77 million. John Gray to Texas, 4-year, $56. So he gets out of Coors. I mean, he's into a pitcher-friendly ballpark there in Texas, and really a pitcher-friendly division. So I think his numbers could get a little bit better. You mentioned Steven Matz in there as well. I mean, not the end of the world that you didn't get Steven Matz.
We mentioned age though, but the market's the market. The pitching market wasn't very luxurious to begin with. So the name of the game is get the guys you can to improve your team, right? And it's obviously a huge need for a lot of teams out there. It's why you got to do it. It's why Toronto ends up in the race for Kevin Gausman. There were really just 3 guys at the top here. obviously the Mets with money are linked to a ton of them. I love John Gray. I'm surprised he went to Texas. Texas is spending some money. I wanted to address one Mets question because I know we're done probably with baseball after this. Brandon's asking me, is Cano still a Met? Yes, unfortunately. And is he going to have a significant role in 2022? I think it depends on the DH because he can't play the field anymore. I mean, Cano can still hit. I don't know what they plan on doing with him. He was still a member of the Mets until he got suspended again. I mean, we have to see how that whole thing unfolds. I don't, as of today, he is. I just don't know how they're going to handle it. And if the DH is a thing in the NL, then maybe there's a spot for him, as a platoon bat. But I just can't see if the Mets are still going to be in the ballpark for Javi Baez with a guy like Eduardo Escobar. They still have Jeff McNeil on the roster. Where is this guy going to play? He's very limited. I think he's an AL type of player now. He has been for the last couple of years. So I don't know. That trade will never make sense. But luckily, we don't still have the guys in place that made that trade. So onward and upward for the Mets.
Are they out of the running for Baez now, you think?
I don't think so. I mean, by all indications from everything I'm seeing, they're going to have the highest payroll in baseball, and they're still looking to spend. I mean, I made the comment to George in the comments. Right now, it seems like the Tigers and the Red Sox are in on Baez, but I think that's the next guy. I think if they get Baez, maybe it slows down a little bit, but I think they're going to throw money at Baez. I think you're probably looking at a little 20 mil, maybe a little bit more for Javi. At least we're talking. I think that's like baseline. That's just a number I could throw out there. So, yeah, I think Javi's going to get the bag, and I think the Mets are willing to spend for him to keep him in.
It's exciting when your teams make moves. It really is. I look at it that way anyways. Like, I like when, teams are aggressive. Certainly you don't want to mortgage the future, but you're just being aggressive here. I still think, like, the Braves are obviously the Braves, right? I still think that they're a really strong team. There's some strong teams in that division, but the Mets are shipping some money. And I mean, DeGrom and Scherzer is about as good as it gets at the top of the rotation. Even the lineup, what would you go? Nimmo, Marte, Lindor, Alonso.
Nimmo is not batting leadoff. Get Nimmo out of it. He can only bat leadoff, but get him out of the leadoff spot. We got Marte is a solidified.
Marte's the leadoff.
Yeah,
he could lead off.
The guy's proven he's contact and still be like he's got to be towards the top. You got to look at Lindor towards the top. Like it's a good problem to have, but you can't from certain lineups and certain aspects. Yes, but Lindor is Nimmo's very one-dimensional, only a left-handed at-bat guy. On-base percentage is what it is, but like he can't do much more, and he kind of pigeonholed you in the outfield. We've had this problem for 2 years now, so no, I can't even look at the lineup yet, and I already told you I'm not counting my chickens on Scherzer. I need it confirmed. I've been here before. Also, though, you mentioned the Braves. A few other things. Re-signing is going to be the name of the game for the Braves, I think, right? You have your team intact for the World Series. You got to pay Freddie, right? I think you got to give Freddie the bag and then figure out what you're going to do with those outfielders. I don't think they have to go much further. Really getting their pitching staff healthy. They have to find who they're going to replace Morton with. But other than that, I mean, bring back Rosario, ideally, right? You got to bring Eddie back. Maybe re-sign Ozuna and then lose either Duvall or Jock or kind of pick. But like one of those four guys or two of those four guys got to stay, I think. Like you got to bring some of those outfielders back and just kind of replace what you had with the World Series team from this year.
Yeah, no question. I think Ozuna's gone. I mean, there's so much illegal stuff with him. I think he's gone. They let him just go. But if Freddie, pay him because, Acuna and Albies are just like, the contracts are so friendly that I think they could just, they could make it work with Freddie. But
so Dustin's telling us it's a done deal, opt out after 2 here. That's what I'm getting in the comments.
Done deal, opt out for the Mets, I would assume.
We'll look at it.
Maybe.
We'll look at it.
Yeah, we'll look at it. Yeah. Okay, so done deal, opt out after 2. Yeah, I mean, again, I do have some concerns about Scherzer with the back, right? For the past couple of years, they have popped up, but whatever. I think, you go and you do this and, you make a push with this squad, and it's a pretty good 1-2 punch, man, atop. I'm a little jealous.
Yeah, Andy Martino says done deal. Also, the Yankees have signed shortstop Jose Peraza, former Mets great. So there you go. At least the Yankees are active too. Yeah, nice little name
real active. George, Red Sox aren't spending any money. No, they ain't spending any money. I hear rumors of them wanting Baez and moving Xander to second. There's no chance of that. They're not spending. I think wherever Baez goes is going to be overpayment, and he's going to get over $200 million. He's going to get over $200 million. He's going to get shortstop money.
100%. And that's why I think the Mets are gonna do it, because I don't think it matters. Like for them,
they don't care. They're
like
all in.
it's wild to me that money isn't an option. Like it's an unreal like position to be in. It kind of doesn't even add up to me how you can even spend the way you do. And I know Dustin's saying that this is a Boris client. I think that's why they threw the bag at Scherzer. I think a lot of people knew that Scherzer did not want to go to New York. He wanted to stay in LA. A lot of people didn't think the Mets would even have interest with the ties that they've had against Scherzer forever. And I think Steve Cohen, called him by his full name, Uncle Stevie, went out and said, I can do what I want because I have the money to do it, and I'm going to make you an offer you can't refuse. And that's what he did. And just remember, Michael Conforto was supposed to be a high-price free agent who was looking for the max, who is a Boris client as well, tied to the Mets, and they've had rifts for the last year because they can't come to an agreement. And I think the Mets just showed it's not that they weren't willing to spend money. They're just willing to spend money on guys that they want to spend money on. So it was kind of a quid pro quo to a lot of the guys on the team. So very interesting stuff going on. Very interesting stuff going on right
absolutely.
now.
We'll keep an eye on all this stuff throughout the week. Anything else breaks, we'll talk about it here. It's fun. We're having a little bit of a baseball conversation, but I do want to talk some football. So Tino's going to hang out. We're going to turn our attention to tonight's game and also still want to talk about a couple takeaways from Week 12 as well. Keep her locked. Mean Streets continues here on Game Plus Network. Baseball's just so fun, right? It's just so fun. I love when players move. I like all the sports when there's just so much movement. I love it. The conversation's happening here. George kills me. Xander for agent next season, so they will throw the bag at him, hopefully, so I can watch him K in key situations. I like Xander, man. I like Xander. I don't have a lot of bad things to say about Xander, but yeah, they may not. Just with the Red Sox and what they've done over the past couple of years, it's weird, right? They haven't spent a lot of money. Oh, Waka's the big free agent signing for. It's a little weird, but yeah, we'll see. We got to switch gears. We can talk a little football here tonight. Let's talk tonight's Monday Night Football game. We have Seattle and Washington there. So the total at 47.5. Seattle, as you see, it's basically a pick 'em. Seattle at -1. And we can transition over to some of the props here that I like and maybe get your thoughts on what you like here this evening. So I'm on Seattle in the under. I don't think we'll see a lot of offense here. Terry McLaurin is my guy here today for over 5.5 grabs. You can get that plus money. He's only topped that twice in his last 4 games, but he does have 7+ targets in 9 straight games. Alex Collins, ooh, gross. I know, guys. I know. I actually wrote him up as a sit over at FTNFantasy.com this week. He hasn't topped this number since week 6. He was removed from the injury report on Thursday, so I thought that was a pretty good sign. Plus, Rashad Penny and Travis Homer are out. I would like to see Russell Wilson just drop back 40+ times and throw the football against this Washington secondary, which you can torch. But listen, I've said that multiple times when it comes to this Seattle offense and Russell Wilson. So I'm going to take Alex Collins. I think he gets to this number. We may sweat this out, but I think he's in line for at least 12 to 13 carries here in this game. So this is a team that they don't care, man. They just run. So I got to take the over 44.5. Logan Thomas is expected to be activated and ready to go here this evening. He practiced in full all week, 30+ yards in each of his 3 games this season. So he's only topped it in 2 of the 3, but he's topped it in 6 straight games, or 5 of the 6 dating back to last season. 63, 74, 45, 42. He's cleared in 4 straight games with Taylor Heineke. That's the key. He didn't do it week 1 where he had 30 receiving yards, but it was Fitzpatrick who started in that game. It seems to me like we got a pretty decent sample size here of Heineke throwing the football to Logan Thomas. Yes, of course, there's a little bit of risk in this pick with him coming off IR. But I expect him not to play 100% of the snaps, but there's no Ricky Seals-Jones in this game, so I think he'll probably play over 75% of the snaps, 30.5 receiving yards, taking the over there. J.D. McKissic, at least 34 receiving yards in 5 of his past 7 games. He's averaging 37.1 receiving yards per game on the season, 4.8 targets, 3.8 grabs, 25 catches in his last 5 games. So that's what I'm thinking. I don't have Tyler Lockett on the board. I don't have DK Metcalf on the board. I'm just not trusting this Seattle passing game. I think that they could do enough to win this game on the road by a point. But Russell's finger, I mean, if I were to take one, I would probably take Lockett yards and maybe Metcalf to find the end zone or something like that. But that's like minus 110. So what do you think about this game this evening? How do you think it's going to play out?
So Logan Thomas, I think, is my favorite bet just because I think he would, like, if you just follow the Washington football team over the last couple of years, he's, as much as Terry's a safety blanket, they love feeding Logan Thomas the ball. Like, normally I'd go for his receptions depending on what that is. But I think my favorite bet on him is at plus 230 at DraftKings. And you can definitely shop around, use the FTN prop shop, and get a better number. I'm sure there's a better number out there because of the looming IR, reactivation. For him to score. He had 2 touchdowns in the 3 games he played. They love throwing him the ball when they get down in the red zone. I think the yards is as close to a lock as he could get. Again, like, the guy just moves the chains. When they throw him the ball, they look for him in key situations, third downs, to get the ball over either the end zone or to move the chain. So I love Logan Thomas. Alex Collins is disgusting. I will say that. I think you're right.
It is. It's nasty.
That's gross. We don't feel good about it. But when you're betting an away team and an under on a Monday Night Football game, it's going to be a gross one, right? So, yeah, I don't love the receivers on either side, if I'm being honest. I was looking at McKissic. I'm probably looking at one of the secondary running backs to score here, mainly because I don't know. I don't love Russ's situation in Seattle. I think we saw it the last 2 games. Say what you want, even about the finger. They weren't really clicking offensively before the finger, right? I mean, this offense was very stagnant at times. DK and Tyler Lockett are hot and cold, so we don't know. There's nothing the numbers can tell me here that makes me feel good about either one of them right now. Like, really, like, you could tell me either, and I could plead a case for it. Now, in terms of Washington, yeah, you go right to Terry, but Terry hasn't necessarily been scoring touchdowns for them. I mean, he's looked at a lot. He gets a ton of usage, obviously, in over 5.5 in receptions. He's going to get work. He can probably find the end zone. But I don't know. I think if Washington's going to want to score here, they're going to have to get creative. Maybe a McKissic touchdown is where we're looking here. Or, dude, I don't know. I mean, Curtis Samuel? Like, maybe? Like, I don't know. Do they use him? Do they use him how Curtis Samuel gets used? This is a guy that doesn't just play receiver. You can use him in jet sweeps. You can use him in the backfield. You can use him out of the backfield. Like, there's a few ways, and I know he's been dinged up. His usage isn't exactly there yet, but I don't know. A game like this, I kind of look outside the normal guys for some reason. I'm looking at who's like, I went to the Giants-Eagles game yesterday, Meanie. I told you about this. The Giants' only touchdown the last 2 weeks were to a lineman and a backup tight end. So it's like, it's the NFC
And what
East.
A catch that was.
I know, right? Got it with his legs. But, the Washington football team's not too far off. So I think they'll get creative. And I think, I think someone unexpected is going to score today. I'd have to look at the lines and find some more value for us. But, yeah, that's just kind of where my head's at with this game.
Yeah. If you want a couple maybe long shot touchdown calls, I mean, Gerald Everett is not a bad call.
There we go.
Plus 380. I mean, he's been kind of trending up a little bit, right? We were talking about the wide receivers, how there hasn't been really a connection over the past couple weeks. So Lockett had a pretty decent game last week. But for Gerald Everett, I mean, he's got 12 targets in his last 2 games and 11 grabs and 100 yards. So, I mean, he's kind of been trending up a little bit.
What am I doing? I got props for the people. What am I doing? I just had to scroll down a little bit and find some value. Both these
We'll break.
Okay,
we'll break.
Let's go.
We'll break and we'll continue. Let's break. He's got some money. All right, we'll break and we'll continue this. So we'll continue to talk here. All right, keep her locked. Mean Streets continues here on Game Plus Network. Welcome back here on Mean Streets, Game Plus Network. Chris Meany here with you. Yeah, Brandon Gilden, right? We were just about to talk about his comment here. Let's check it up for him. He's hanging out with us. Yeah, buddy. Russell Wilson to score a TD plus 400. That's exactly where we're going to go here. No chase, but the Washington defense should still apply enough pressure to cause Russ to scramble often. Absolutely agree with you, Brandon. Yeah, your comment on the Hawks' good coverage for linebackers. Yeah, I mean, what I noticed last week and over the past couple weeks is they've really struggled against tight ends. I mean, Zach Ertz, 9 targets, 8 grabs, 88 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Dan Arnold, week 8, had 8 grabs and 68 yards. Pat Freiermuth had 7 grabs, 58 yards. Tyler Higbee hasn't done a whole lot this season. He found the end zone. Ross Dwelly found the end zone against him. Ty Conklin had 7 grabs, 70 yards, and a touchdown. This Seattle secondary is just not good, right? They got a bunch of big name guys on there. They do got some guys that can, some decent linebackers, but I think they're slightly overrated in my opinion. So I'm in on Logan Thomas. Just need the 30.5 yards. His catch prop, it just surfaced 3.5 at plus 110. Probably won't go that way. 4 grabs. I'd rather go with the receiving yards, take a shot on the touchdown. We got about a couple minutes before we break again and talk a little hockey, but will you agree with the Russell plus 400?
Brandon, you took the words out of my mouth. So just to rebuttal with it, let's just go 22-1 on first touchdown too while we're at it. I love me some quarterback touchdowns. I was going to mention Taylor Heineke, but it's absurd to me that Taylor Heineke has better odds than Russ to score a rushing touchdown. He's plus 350 on DraftKings. Russ is 4-1. I love that. I don't know if you heard me. I was saying these quarterbacks. Yeah, the lines are very favorable. And if we don't like Alex Collins today, and we do like Alex Collins for your sake, Meany. We like him. But Russ has about 3 or 4 carries in all of his games this season. I'm pretty sure he has no less than 3. I think last game he only had 2, but that's like kind of the outlier. I think he's had 3 or more in every game, and they've been legitimate rushes. So, yeah, I mean, he could scramble. Sure, but I think, in the red zone, I think he can make a play, maybe play action. We saw Aaron Rodgers do it. I saw Aaron Rodgers do it again yesterday. We saw Joe Burrow make a play.
With a broken toe.
I know. Quarterback's been getting in the end zone. I love where your head's at, Brandon. I'm on it with you. 4-1, and we're going to go first touchdown, 22-1. Let's get crazy.
What do we got here for rushing yards for Heineke? 18.5. I mean, he does run. Look at his last few games. 6 for 29, 3 for 15, not so much. 10 for 95 against the Packers. And sure, that may be the outlier, but even before that, 5 for 40, 5 for 43, 8 for 21. Like, dude runs, right? He runs around a little bit, and he scrambles sometimes. So there's that opportunity. And do you remember the game? Was it against your Giants where he should have had, 4 rushing touchdowns?
Yeah.
Dude, you got screwed.
Well, so 18.5 and 14.5 on Russell Wilson, too. If we like the quarterbacks to move here, those lines are low. We're always on Daniel Jones, 20.5. That's really not that many. That's one really healthy. That's one good rush, or you move the chains a few times. I like that. I like these quarterback props today. I think I'm on that.
Yeah. I don't feel like we're going to see a lot of offense in this game, though. Are you on the under? Are you do you like Seattle?
Yeah, I like Seattle in the under for sure. I put that bet in last Monday. Yeah, I've just been on it. I mean, away teams and unders have tended to be the trend this season anyway, so I kind of was just doing that. If you were betting the under going into this week, it's hit 55% of the time, so you're going to be profitable anyways. Now, we did see some overs this weekend, which I get, so maybe we're due here on the under. But it's where I'm on. Seattle's offense scares me. Washington defense, obviously, even though it's banged up, obviously is a strength. So those two kind of go head to head. And then I don't know what to think of this Washington offense. We haven't mentioned Antonio Gibson very much, and it's like, I don't know. It's hard for me to get excited about him. It really is. Yeah.
He's getting carries. He's not really doing anything through the air. The past couple games have been pretty strong for him from a carry standpoint. We do got a break. I think we've covered this game mostly from all angles here, but Gibson, 19, 24 carries in each of his past 2 games, but really not doing anything through the air. That's why I still like J.D. McKissic. So one final break, and we'll recap the show with some hockey picks. I know we didn't really recap Week 12, but we'll be here tomorrow, and we'll recap everything. I really wanted to give a lot of love to Lenny Fournette, man. This guy has looked awesome. A fantastic game yesterday, and then Joe Mixon as well. So we'll recap Week 12 tomorrow, hit the waiver wire, and we'll also take a look at the playoff picture as well. Things are starting to kind of take shape. It's very interesting here on both sides in the AFC and the NFC, and we will talk about your Giants. Unfortunately, we'll talk about them tomorrow. Yeah, we will. Jalen Hurts just forcing everything yesterday. NHL in here next. Keep it locked. We'll call some shot props. Welcome back to Mean Streets here on a Game Plus Network. So 4 games on the ice. Let's get after it here. We don't have too much time. So these are the shot props that I'm thinking for this evening. It is led by Sid the Kid, Sidney Crosby. He's cleared in 4 straight games in 5 of his past 6. In fact, everybody's really clearing when it comes to that top line. I mean, I like Jake Gensel, but he's really juiced to the over. But this is a guy who's been clearing every game but one with Sidney Crosby. 5, 4, 4, 3, 2, 3 for Crosby over his last few games. Pierre-Luc Dubois has only cleared once in the last 5 games, but before that it was 5 straight games. I still like him. He's still putting a lot of pucks towards the goal. If you're just getting, parlays in here tonight, go with Ehlers or go with Connor at 3.5. But if you're just looking for a single, it would be Pierre-Luc Dubois. Same thing here with Johnny Gaudreau. I mean, a better price for Gaudreau at DraftKings, but I like Matthew Tkachuk, a better price at Bet365. So it depends on your book. But overall, if you ask me just to pick one, it would be Matthew Tkachuk. 5 straight games now, 7 of his past 8. For Johnny Gaudreau, I mean, he's been doing it quite often as well. 9 of his last 11 games. And some big shot games from him too. 5, 4, 4, 5, and 10. Tage Thompson on here. He's cleared in 6 of his last 9, 4 of his past 6. The 2 games that he didn't, he was stuck on 2. And then Connor Garland. This guy over his last 6 games has 29 shots on goal, over 40 shot attempts, 6, 4, 4, 6, 4, 5. It's a battle of the basement here in Montreal tonight between the Habs and the Canucks. You can get Connor Garland at 2.5 shots at -105. So I think that's a pretty good price. In fact, it is the best. If you're looking for one more, I did have plus money on Josh Anderson, who's been shooting the puck quite a bit too. He's got 10 shots over his last 2 games. If you want some picks, I'm on the Penguins here tonight, +125. I like the under between the Pens and the Flames. Jacob Markstrom and Tristan Jarry have played phenomenal hockey so far this season. I like the Jets to win by 2, -115. I like the under in Buffalo and Seattle, under 5.5 as well. Any questions, hit me up. If there's any shot props that surface that I like, I will circle back on this YouTube section as well. Again, Cyber Monday, 33% off if you're looking to be part of the FTN fam. Thanks for taking the time to hang out. We'll be back tomorrow. Have a good one. Cheers.